Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Genesys Cloud Community's Q&A show, the show where we answer your pressing questions in the Genesys Cloud community. My name is Matt Lawson. I'm your online community manager, and this week we have a packed episode. First things first, real quick announcement. The App Foundry has a brand new community on our site, and we would love for you to join. Please head over there. It's a place where we want you to talk about the apps that you've added to Genesys and really enjoyed and found valuable. And of course, ask questions about any of the apps that you've been curious about. If you're worried that it's just going to be a sales field, don't worry about that. We have moderators monitoring the site, and we're going to do everything we can to prevent that. All we want you to do is to have a good conversation about the apps that you love and are curious about. Now, this episode, it's going to be a little bit longer, but we have some great content. First of all, we're going to be meeting Jeff from the WEM team. He's here to talk about some new forecasting and scheduling options that are available, as well as some analytics tools, because when you know it, a viewer just like you popped into our YouTube channel and asked a question, and Marcela was nice enough to find Jeff and help us get some answers for you. So that's the first thing. Second thing, we're going to meet Mitch. Mitch is new to Genesys, and he's taking over the Ideas Lab from our friend Ginger, who you may remember. The Ideas Lab had a great first half of the year, a great H1 as we call it, and they want to share some of their progress with you, talk about some stuff that's really exciting that's going to be coming up, and we're going to have a question, or not a question, but a contest where you can earn valuable prizes like GCAP points, maybe even a gift card. More to come on that, but please stick with us. Let's go ahead and meet Jeff and Marcela and learn about some new forecasting models. Jeff, Marcela, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm doing well. Long time no see.
Yeah, doing very well. Thanks.
Cool. Marcela, I felt like something wrong has happened because you weren't on the last two episodes of the show. We did a two-part episode about WebRTC, and I missed you dearly. But I'm really excited because this time you're packing Jeff, and Jeff and I are already fast friends because he lives in my home state of Tennessee. Go Volunteers. Right. So Marcela, I think people are pretty familiar with you and your work with the WEM community, but real quick, just in case this is our first time meeting you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Hey, everybody. Long time no see, those who have seen me before. If not, my name is Marcela and I work with product marketing on the WEM team. I am also even though you don't admit it, your favorite WEM community moderator. So keep that in mind.
Good information for that quiz that we always give at the end of the semester. Jeff, what about you? It's my first time meeting you. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yep. Hey, everyone. Good to be here this morning or afternoon, depending on when you're reviewing the video. I've been in the workforce space a very, very long time, longer than I care to admit. Spent about 15 years with Aspect, actually, in their WFO solution. Came to Genesys about 3 years ago with cloud workforce engagement. Very exciting time. The speed at which we're delivering innovation and release into the product. I know a lot of customers I've worked with over the past have had premise software and they've had to wait for an annual upgrade. With Genesys Cloud Workforce Engagement, we're essentially releasing new features on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And through this video series, we're hoping to introduce some of those capabilities to you. So maybe you're not aware of a certain feature or tool set that's now available, and we'll walk through those with you.
Yeah, and Jeff, your timing couldn't be more perfect because this topic all came from something that happened on one of the last episodes, episode 16 of the Q&A show. And somebody wrote in on our YouTube channel and said that they would love to see an in-depth tutorial regarding workforce planning and reporting abilities in Genesys. And when Marcela was talking about experts that we could have, Jeff's name came up. And sounds like you're going to be able to hit on both of these points, which I'm very excited about. Jeff, without further ado, you want to go ahead and start your demo?
Yeah, let's jump right in. So a couple of perspectives that I really want to talk about today. One being forecast capability, some enhancements with forecasting that we've had from a longer term perspective. Talk a little bit about reporting, scheduling process, and some things like that. So for those of you who may be actually on Genesys Cloud Workforce Engagement or new to the platform, we'll kind of tailor the conversation towards either end of that spectrum. Traditionally, and up until the last 6 or 8 weeks, we were able to generate a forecast for volume and handle time out 6 weeks into the future. So what I've done here is just brought up the add dialog box. I want to start a forecast on Monday, August 2nd, and run that out for 6 weeks. But as part of a new feature release that came out, you'll see there under forecast duration, there's now 2 durations: short-term interval forecast, long-term interval forecast. So by definition, a short-term forecast can be generated for 6 weeks, which would cover August 2nd through September 9th. I could go back and run a second forecast, picking up on the 13th and running out for the next 6 weeks. Or as I change the variable for number of weeks, notice what happens to those date ranges. If I get above that short-term interval, let's say I go to 8 weeks, my short-term forecast is still only going to cover that 6-week period. But now in the long-term perspective, I'm covering a longer period. From a long-term perspective, we can now go out to 2 years. So multiples of 52 there, I'm able to set in that number of weeks selection box. So essentially, if I wanted to cover from the start date of August, again, my 6-week forecast is just going to run through September, but my long-term forecast is going to run all the way through the end of July. So dependent on start date, it's going to derive the end date from the number of weeks that I have selected. We're going to jump to an end state forecast in just a minute, but I did want to do a little recap or review on how the system creates the forecast. Depending on where you are in your journey with Genesys Cloud Workforce Engagement, we have different creation methods depending on the data you have in the Genesys environment. In very short order, if your forecast lives outside of our tool, you can import that forecast and then take advantage of all the forecasting and scheduling capabilities. If you have historical data in the system, then there are a couple of different layers. Do I want to use a weighted index or do I want to use automated best selection? Weighted index has been out there for some time. Each vendor of workforce management has their own secret sauce, their own flavor of using historical data. By Genesys definition, this will allow you to pull in the most recent 8 weeks of history, smooth and modify some of the contributing data, and then generate the forecast based on that slice of history. Where most customers are going now and where we're really doing development in the tool is around AI forecasting, automatic best selection. The vantage points to that is, one, we're going to use all data that's in your system. If you have certain queues that have been active 3 months or 3 years, we will use the entirety of the data. Number two, you're not going to have to do manual intervention when things went awry. You had anomalies that occurred based on a weather event or a broken product if you're in the retail environment, or claims that went out in error if you're in insurance and banking. Our system in a prescribed process will smooth and normalize the data for you. So number one, use all the data. Number two, clean that data and get it ready for forecasting. And then number three, and really where the power of a cloud solution is, we have about 25 algorithms for forecasting built in our solution. So as soon as you hit the add forecast button using AI selection, it's going to start running your prepared data in thousands of iterations against those available algorithms. And through prescribed process, it's going to narrow that down and make the best selection for each queue you're not only you're forecasting for, but also the metrics in those queues. So volume and handle time, they'll be evaluated against those available algorithms and produce forecasts based on that.
Cool. So real quick, you said that I understand it'll kind of like smooth out any rough edges that you may have had, but like, let's imagine you had something big going on that took a couple of months, like you were trading out a system or you had an outage that was unexpected. Can you just tell the system not to pay attention to that data, or is it fixed no matter what? It's going to be looking at all of your historical data.
Absolutely. So, in some of those large dramatic events, right? And a lot of our customers who are on the platform during COVID saw all kinds of fluctuation with those variables. one thing for Genesys is that's driving some new innovation we're coming out with for those markers of these catastrophic events that occur, like replacing a system or changing out, your CRM or order entry system, which causes drives and volumes. So there are some things there. One thing I would say is, at any point in time, there are some historical data import tools that we can leverage as well. It's really going to depend on a case-by-case basis of what we would recommend and how to rectify that or flag that data for you. So it's always really important, either work with your sales team, work with our customer care team, let's say in close synchronization on the journey, and get our guidance on how to handle some of those things. But by and large, and again, part of the luxury that we have of having this cloud solution is we monitor statistics across all of our customers using Genesys Cloud. Product development themselves would tell you that customers using the AI approach are seeing somewhere between a 95-97% forecast accuracy because of our ability to run those thousands of iterations that's not humanly possible in Excel, right? A lot of us know forecasting in Excel. So that's a long answer, but there's a lot of capability there, and we can definitely peel back the onion even further with any of you that need some additional clarification.
Excellent. Yeah. And also, just to plug the WEM community, if you're looking for best practices, it's always a great place to go and pop in your question. We'd love to help you and see you there.
Matt, that's a great example. I was actually working with a customer this morning. They were wanting deeper insight to how Genesys Cloud Workforce Engagement calculates requirements in blended environments. I did a few keyword searches in the community, the same community that you, the customer, has access to, and I found several paragraphs from a developer, spoken and speak that I understand, but it described some of the logic we use in creating requirements. So I definitely echo for anyone watching the video to check that out.
Cool. And your check's in the mail. Thank you, Jeff, for that shout out. We appreciate it.
No worries. So let's transition over and talk about the mechanics of a forecast once it's been generated. The end state output that you see here, regardless of the approach you use to create, is going to be the same. I wanted to really hone in on that capability we have now to forecast further out up to 2 years in a single forecast. Couple of different slices to this. One, there's a tabular view for the short-term forecast. This is where I see week over week, daily totals for my volume, different graphs, different ways I can look at that and scale the information, even drop downs for particular weeks I want to look at. So remember, this is a 6-week forecast, so I can page through weeks 1 through 6. Perhaps from a larger perspective, I want to see all of the volume I've forecasted, in this case, between the 1st of June and the end of December. I just wanted to generate a forecast and say, let me take a look at what the system is producing from a forecast perspective. There's a few key things I'm seeing. Number one, we had a corporate holiday, national holiday in North America, and I see that I had the drop around 4th of July. I'm also seeing the Labor Day holiday in September. We're going to experience a drop in both volume and AHT there. For me and the organization that I run, we have an annual campaign we run for customers coming out of the October timeframe into November. The AI engine has done a very good job at that. If you notice my weekly volumes, I go somewhere from 22,000 in the weeks leading to that up to about 26,000 during the peak of that campaign. I'm very satisfied with those results. True to my environment, we start getting into the Thanksgiving and Christmas period. And for us, we actually ramp down at the end of the year. This is a great thing for me as a forecaster and planner to start targeting when can I schedule trainings and coachings and these things where I'll have some availability. I have staff overhead to be able to accomplish some of those things. Just the nature of the beast and the nature of our customer call patterns. I've got peaks and valleys throughout November and December as we ramp down. But as I get closer into that term, I can capitalize on that idle time and take advantage of scheduling any training initiatives we have or coaching people to the right behavior. If you've seen some of the agent activity capabilities and knowledge assignment through some of the performance pieces of Genesys Cloud Workforce Engagement, all that can be integrated right together with the agent schedule. Now, a common question that comes up is, operations comes to me as a forecaster and says, Jeff, model this. Jeff, model this. A typical use case could be operations might be thinking about, and here we are late in the cycle, right? We're almost at the end of July. But what if they came to me and gave me 2 weeks notice and said, we're thinking about launching an email blast or an email communication to our customers, and we expect our volume to look like what it normally looks like in that October time period. The great thing about Genesys Cloud is within a few clicks, I can actually add a modification increasing either my volume or average handle time, either by flat numbers or percentages. And I can turn that modification on or off. What you'll notice here as I kind of make some adjustments, before we had our Labor Day holiday, we were on the decline, and then we ramped up during our October campaign. I've added an adjustment that says increase volume by X%. Notice what happens. My volume increases. I still have the shape of the Labor Day holiday and the period surrounding that, but I do have this model in place now where I'm expecting that campaign to come in around 24,000, a little bit lower volume than the annual campaign we run at 26,000. But I can quickly make that modification and see that visual inside my long-term forecast. Another thing I can do, since my forecast began back here in June, I can start looking at forecast performance. Now I have my system tricked to not be the best performing system, but I do that, to prove some use case points. As I highlight over particular days, notice all the statistics I have access to. What was all the original forecast? What were the actual values? What were the percentages of forecast accuracy? If you notice that third blue bullet point, forecast accuracy for this day was about 91%. If my goal is to be within a 10% variance of forecast, I've achieved my job as a forecaster. If my goal is to be 5% or less, I need to look at my forecast process and maybe make some adjustments to any of the variables coming into that. But this is great for seeing, here's how we did according to plan in one view. Now, from a reporting perspective, and that's kind of where a lot of this comes next, most of you who have used legacy or premise-based tools, you've had a report module, and you would go and it would generate a report based on a canned format. And it would be very difficult to modify the columns or the layout. Some vendors would even require you to engage their professional services to create a report, right? Now, aside from many of the dashboards that are available to us in Genesys Cloud Workforce Engagement, and if you want to walk through dashboards, reach out to us, reach out to your sales team, we can do that. But from a workforce planner, workforce scheduler, and a reporting standpoint, many of the views in the UI, you've got export capability of the data. Depending if you want all of the data associated or just how you have the filter and the view set up in the UI. But by really quickly clicking that export, it's going to send out to your desktop a simple CSV file. As I open that up, my forecast, now every interval of the forecast, I see things like the start time, the volume offered, the average handle time. If I want to do rounding, if I want to run calculations, if I want to selectively choose some of the data and throw in a chart or a graph, it's very unstructured, and I can do anything that I want to with that. Now, the other piece of that being, let's take something like completed schedules, right? There's a lot of detail within completed schedules. At the top, my agents, the schedules they're working. Maybe I want to slice this and I only want to look at a couple of teams, not everyone across the enterprise. So now I've further narrowed down the results. Maybe from a forecasting perspective, I just want to look at sales operation and the volume associated with that. So I can toggle between that. Now I'm seeing for one particular team and one particular queue, what number of resources were scheduled, what did the forecast tell me that I needed, and again, that export capability is here, and I'll have different options to select of what data I want to export. Is it data related to the schedule and the agent shifts? Is it data related to the lower window with the scheduled numbers and forecast numbers? So we give you tools all throughout the UI to easily access the data, to get it out in a format that you can further manipulate or tailor to whatever you want to do. Now, many of our customers, and this kind of depends on how your IT organization is structured, it is not necessary to do periodic exports of this data or exports of the raw data. If you have something like a data warehouse or a business intelligence tool, you can use our open architected APIs, and we can send that information over every 15 minutes, every 3 hours, every day if you want. So just depending on how your organization is set up and structured, how your IT functions, how they ingest data, not only from your workforce system, but for other source systems, we're very flexible and can provide the connectivity to automate a lot of the reporting for you.
Cool. That's awesome. And, going through the initial question that was submitted, I think you really hit on everything. You showed the forecasting, you showed the reporting. So I think, thank you for doing my job for me. Very little moderation required on this one.
No worries, Matt. Good to be with you, and look forward to some future sessions.
While you're here, and especially while Marcela is here, let's talk about the future and what it might look like for this crew of Genesys juggernauts. So, Marcela, it's been a while since we've had an Ask Me Anything event in the community. I'm very excited to hear that we have one coming up in August, and it sounds like Jeff is going to be on the panel. Go ahead, Marcela. What's the topic going to be?
All right. So, clearly, we're very excited about our new forecasting and workforce planning capabilities, and we want to know what you guys think, what questions you have. Jeff did a great job giving us a good overview. If you have any additional questions or you want to go through a rabbit hole, we've all done it. The premier event that we're going to be holding within the WM community is a workforce planning Ask Me Anything. So it's scheduled for August 11th. We'll be going from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. The idea is for you to join the community if you haven't. I'm a little disappointed if you haven't yet. Join us, come into our discussion board, and just spam us with questions. Our moderator team is going to be on the boards at that time, along with a lot of very talented, very knowledgeable WM experts, such as Jeff and a couple others, to help us answer these questions for you in real time. If you haven't yet joined the Genesys community, we invite you to come in and be part of our great community, as well as part of the WM community. We'll also be opening a few channels if you don't have access yet, so that you can send in your questions and still receive answers. However, we think it's best if you just join us, just come in, ask a question.
Absolutely.
Have a drink. I will not be providing drinks, but have a drink.
And just so that everybody can see how easy it is to find the WEM community, I will go ahead and just walk you through the site. So when you're on the Genesys community, it's going to look a little bit like this. If you want to get there straight from the homepage, simply go to this Other Communities drop down. Workforce engagement is right there. From there, you'll go in, you'll get to see, actually, wow, it looks like we've done a redesign. Doesn't that look sharp? I love it. Once you're on this page, you'll get to see all of our pinned posts, the trending blogs, and of course, the latest discussions that our good friend Tracy does a great job of staying on top of, even if sometimes Jeff may be ghostwriting some answers for her. You didn't hear that from me, but it's really easy.
Actually, Matt, I will throw the tag in that Tracy and I were on a call the other day, she being in the UK, of course, and the tie back to Tennessee is she was wearing a George Jones shirt. So, nice. We're everywhere. Yeah.
We're everywhere. That's cool. Awesome. Well, yes, to Marcela's point, to Jeff's point, we'd love to see you in the community. We really hope to see you for the Ask Me Anything event. And as always, we love it when we hear questions from you all that you are interested in seeing in the Q&A show and, of course, across our other channels. So please just stay in touch with us. And Marcela, anything you wanted to add in closing?
Just that I'm really excited about this event, and I hope to see everyone there participating, asking questions. This is really the best opportunity to just get your question in front of an expert and get straight to the point answers.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
Come join us.
Absolutely. Jeff, anything you want to add in closing?
No, I would. Well, actually, yes. In the community as well, don't ever forget that you have the capability to submit enhancement request ideas to the community. Other customers can view those. They can vote on those. Those do carry weight with our product management and how they prioritize enhancement development that's ongoing. Also, reach out to the sales team that supports you. If you want to have a conversation and get a look into what is coming in the next 6 months, the next year, there are some big things that we're working on that are launching throughout this year. But particularly what's coming to mind is some brand new scheduling capabilities to basically create an employee demand marketplace and matching them with offerings and abilities. So rethinking these antiquated processes you may know today as a vacation bid or a shift bid. Reach out to us. Let us educate you on that. Let us invite you to the table to have input on that development and the decisions and the vision that we've come up with. We're here to support you and bring forth a workforce, for this next generation, right? It's not your father's workforce management, as our VP of product management says.
True. And Jeff, I'm beginning to think we must be related because you honestly did not know this before we started recording. But after I get off the phone with the two of you, I'm actually talking to somebody from the Ideas Lab. So your segue is, again, just absolutely perfect. They had a great first half of the year, and we can't wait to talk more about that in our next segment. Marcela, Jeff, thank you all so much for being here. Looking forward to spending more time with you in August.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
Hey, Mitch, welcome to the show. How are you?
Doing pretty well. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Always wonderful to be meeting a new member of the Ideas Lab team. For me, it's funny. I'm so used to talking with Ginger in this capacity, but it's an actual privilege to have you on the show as well. A lot of people, I think, are meeting you for the first time. Do you mind introducing yourself, saying what you do at Genesys?
Yeah, of course. I'd be happy to. So I'm Mitch McMillan, and I work on the Genesys Cloud product operations team. I'm focused primarily on product analytics and usage tracking, but I also manage the Genesys Cloud Ideas Lab as well.
Very cool. And we wouldn't be having you on this show if there wasn't a good reason behind it. And you have a really cool reason to be here today. It sounds like the Ideas Lab had a breakthrough H1 that you wanted to talk about. Is that correct?
Yes, that's definitely correct. So we've had a record number of ideas submitted in H1 2021, and we've had a lot of great feedback from product managers and a lot of comments within our product Ideas Lab as well. So we're super proud of that and great to see it keep growing as we've been growing as a product.
Cool. Well, just in case some people are watching who have no idea what the Ideas Lab is, can you clue us in real quick? What is the Ideas Lab?
Yeah, of course. So if you're not familiar with the Product Ideas Lab, it's a portal where you're able to submit new ideas and able to vote on existing ideas. And you can also make comments and really have that feedback dialogue with the product management team. And then after you submit your idea, you're able to follow it along with the process from end to end to see when it gets picked up and accepted, as well as moving through the development process. We post notes on any betas that we might have that are public, different things like that, as well as getting to see the point at which that idea is delivered and you can actually use it as a feature.
Right. And yes, when we are talking about ideas, we are talking about the features that you would like to see in your Genesys product that you don't currently have available. I also want to clarify, Mitch specifically works with the Genesys Cloud Ideas portal, but we have ideas portals for Pure Connect, Genesys Engage, as well as, does WEM have their own? I always get confused on that.
They do not have their own right now. They're within the Genesys Cloud Ideas portal.
Okay, cool. So a lot of ways you can give us feedback on what you would like to see in the product. Mitch, why don't you go ahead and brag a little? Share what kind of accomplishments you guys have had this year.
Yeah, of course. I'd be happy to. So in H1 2021, we had 1,016 total ideas submitted. And so far, we've accepted over 179 ideas so far.
Wow, that's awesome. And these are all, this is a record number for us, right, as a company?
Oh, definitely.
That's really cool. And I see a flirty little question mark there next to total ideas delivered. I wonder what that could be about.
Oh, definitely. So we didn't want to reveal the total number of ideas delivered because we have a contest coming up that we're going to be able to allow you to try to guess how many ideas that we've delivered within the Ideas Lab. And that's something that we're really proud of, as it is, as you mentioned earlier, a record number.
You know, when I see teams breaking different kinds of records, especially like records that you've set for yourselves, because that typically means growth. And the other part of why you wanted to show up today is to talk a little bit about, I think it's going to be in Q4, some changes are coming to the Ideas Lab, right?
Oh, definitely. So with all that growth and traffic that we've had to our Ideas Lab, we're working on making improvements to some of the processes, as well as a little bit of the look and feel as you're submitting ideas. So we'll have more information on that, but it should be announced and ready in early Q4.
That's really cool. Any kind of specific change that you're looking forward to in particular?
I think for right now, it would just be more process flow and being able to have a closer communication with the product management team and getting more avenues to be able to give use cases for ideas that you're submitting and really good explanations on what you'd like to see delivered.
Well, this transitions really nicely because you guys had such a breakthrough half of the year. One of the things that we're going to get to do is have a contest that's been on our minds for a while. And we're really excited because we're going to give you, our customers, our partners, our viewers, the chance to guess how many ideas were delivered so far in 2021. Mitch, why don't you give them some more details?
Yeah, of course. So we're really excited about our ideas that have been delivered. So if you're not familiar with the process, we have the ideas that are submitted that work through, and the delivered ideas are those that work through to become enabled as features within our Genesys Cloud product. And so from there, you can be able to search and find. If you're wanting to do research on your own within the Ideas Lab, you can see what ones are delivered across the different product groups, the product taxonomies. So I think that could be a hint to be able to get closer to the number, but I'm excited to see what you guys come up with and what you guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody keep in mind, this was a record number. So another great way, if you want to have a more educated guess, a while ago, Ginger was putting up quarterly summaries of how many ideas were delivered, accepted, similar to the slide you see in front of you. So maybe do some research on the Genesys Knowledge Network in the community, find those old posts from our friend Ginger, and you might have a really good shot at winning the prize. Oh, by the way, prize and dates for this contest are to be announced in the community, in the discussion thread where everything is posted, and you submit your answers, which will be live as this episode becomes available. Mitch, what do you think? Can you come back when we know the winner and the answer to help us with the announcement?
Yeah, of course. I'd be happy to.
All right, cool. I don't think I have anything else today. Mitch, it's been great to have you. Anything you want to share in closing?
No, I think just keep on submitting ideas and voting on your existing ideas. It's something that we definitely look closely at, and we're really excited to hear your feedback.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch up in August to announce the winner.
Thanks for tuning in for this week's episode. We hope it was helpful and maybe a little bit entertaining. Each week, our host and experts review community discussions and debate what content to discuss, so your voice matters. Did we miss something? Do you have a question for the show? Let us know. Join the conversation at the Genesys online community. As a Genesys customer or partner, you can create an account. Just click the sign in button found on most pages and follow the necessary instructions to create an account. Also, feel free to email us at qashow@genesys.com. We'd love to hear from you. If this is your first episode, welcome. You can view our entire archives Go to the Helpful Links panel found on most community pages and find the QA show archive that interests you. We appreciate your support of the show and the community. Cheers!